Just when you think you've got everything sorted for Game Week 29, Aston Villa come through with so many injuries. Hello there, hope you're having a great Wednesday. What is up, guys, and welcome to FPL Today and the FPL Watchlist for Game Week 28. In this series, we're going to look at players and teams that I'm considering bringing in players for, and I think we should all be watching to help our FPL rank. So if you do want to see more of the FPL Watchlist here on FPL Today, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for FPL, and let's get straight into this video. So, as this is a new series and I'm working on it, we're only going to focus on two teams, but a big reason for the focus of this FPL watchlist is the fact that Aston Villa have so many injury issues at the moment. I was considering Aston Villa options going into Game Week 29, but with the likes of Matty Cash, Jack Grealish, El Ghazi, Traore, Sanson, who's a newly signed player, and also House, all being on the injury list with concerns whether they'll be featuring in Game Week 29, and the fact that even if they do come back for Game Week 29, they won't exactly be at their sharpest. It does bring me the conundrum of who else do I consider to bring into my FPL sides, and Aston Villa didn't have the greatest of opposition in Game Week 29, so Aston Villa being weaker potentially makes Spurs even more of an exciting option for Game Week 29 as one of the big teams still in that game week. So first off, we're going to look at the Spurs assets, and to be honest, there's three massive big hitters there that potentially we could be eyeing up a triple up on for Game Week 29. Now, there's always the possibility that it hits us in the backside if Aston Villa do what they have been doing recently, which is being quite defensively solid, but Spurs have been putting 3 or 4 past teams recently with all of their 3 key men hitting on all cylinders. Now, we start off with Bale. Big regret of mine that I didn't bring him in already. We brought Son in instead, but at 9.4 million, we're looking at a Gareth Bale that is starting to creep towards the Gareth Bale we knew in the Premier League at Spurs before he took his move to Real Madrid. We know there's a class player in there. He was potentially a world beater in his day. And now, while he may not necessarily have the pace, he has the delivery of pass, he has the finishing, he's getting into the right spaces. Over the last 2 game weeks, he's got 4 goals and 1 assist. That's a great return for 2 game weeks worth of football. He's had 7 shots on goal, 3 of which have been big chances, and he's had 5 key passes. His expected goals only at 1.63, showing the kind of finishing that Gareth Bale is displaying right now. And to be honest, in Fan Team, where I don't really share my team with you guys, I did go Gareth Bale because I'm less afraid of my decisions being judged, which is a knock on myself more than it is on anyone else. I should be brave enough to stick with my own decisions, but Gareth Bale could potentially be a massive player in Game Week 29. Of course, there is Kane as well, 11.3 million, a bit more expensive than the midfielders, 3 goals and 2 assists. However, 13 shots is why he is so valued. That's more than both Bale and Son, with 4 big chances, 1 more than Gareth Bale. He also has 6 key passes and 2 big chances created, with the highest XG out of the 3 at 2.18. Then we do look at Son, who, to be honest, had a great start to the season, is a great player. I would probably rate Prime Bale just above Prime Son, and to be honest, his underlying stats for Son aren't as great as those for Bale and Kane, and he has been outperforming his underlying stats, and that's slowly starting to deteriorate, making me feel like potentially I've made the wrong decision. Now, he does have creation stats above Kane and Bale, 10 key passes, 6 big chances created, and the highest XA at 2.68 out of the 3 players, but he's got the least amounts of shots with 6, he's got the least amounts of shots inside the box with 3, and the least amounts of big chances with an XG of 0.64, which is well under the likes of Gareth Bale and Harry Kane. Now, what he does have over Bale is minutes played, so he's more likely to play the full 90 minutes. So if Gareth Bale gets subbed off and still hasn't done something, you've still got a few more minutes for Son to get on that score sheet. But with Arsenal next, potentially it isn't right to make the move right now. They could walk over Arsenal, but Arsenal have looked better recently than they did at the beginning of this season. But then it is, of course, that weakened Aston Villa in game week 29, with Newcastle the game week to follow. If you don't have a wild card to wildcard out of a game week 29 side, that is a decent game week 30 fixture for you to hold them for one more game week. Who knows what could happen in the Man United and Everton game, and then it does look like a blank could be on the cards after that. But definitely need to be looking at these 3 players for your game week 29 side. And if Tottenham are going to push on to try and get top 4, these are the guys that are going to be pushing them all the way to that finish line. So when looking at game week 29, with Aston Villa not looking as strong as they have done, I'm assuming most people have West Ham players like Cresswell, Dawson, Kufal, Antonio and Lingard, who are players that I have mentioned on the team selection video. The likes of Brighton not really having anyone exciting leading the line, more like you want to go with their defence with that Newcastle fixture. Newcastle also not being very interesting at all. Arsenal being a bit hard to predict, although Aubameyang could be a decent punt and Saka has looked good all season. I've actually found myself looking at Fulham as a side to go towards. Now, I'm assuming most people have Leeds players as well. Bamford, Rafinha, Dallas, Ayling. So if you don't have them, you could look at them, but recently they have been disappointing with the double game weeks that have just come up, them not really hitting the kind of goal-scoring form that they have done earlier in the season. Meanwhile, Fulham have looked very impressive, getting that win over Liverpool and also looking like they're fighting for their lives and to stay in the Premier League. So I wanted to look at the Fulham options for that game week where they do have Leeds at home and they could potentially get something out of the fixture. Now, the players I'm looking at are Maja at 5.5 million, Lookman at 5.0 and Cavallero at 5.3. Now, the problem is only looking at 2 game weeks worth of data because I want the watch list to be a bit more about recent performances. None of them have scored or got any assists, which of course isn't great, but we're looking for that player that could make a big difference for us in game week 29. For me, Maja definitely fits the bill of a striker that could get some goals despite the fact he hasn't scored in his last 2. 8 shots on goal, 6 from inside the box and 2 big chances with an XG of 1.02. And Lookman would be my choice over Cavallero. 1, because he's cheaper, so he's quite easy to fit into your side at 5 million. He's also had 5 shots, 4 from inside the box, but unfortunately no big chances and none on target. Their XG for Lookman and Cavallero also is pretty bad, 0.19 and 0.03. However, what they do bring is more creativity, 7 key passes for Lookman, 5 key passes and 2 big chances created for Cavallero with higher XA than Maja. Now for me, I'd probably go with Maja, but the issue here, of course, is if you already have the likes of Antonio, Bamford and Kane, you can't really fit Maja in. Lookman could be a decent bring-in for that game after Man City, just for the Leeds game. And then it is Aston Villa after that, who could still be weakened by their injuries, and then Wolves and Arsenal. So it would only be a short-term punt, which could, of course, if their form allows it, be a bit longer of a pick. But Lookman and Maja are probably the 2 that I'm considering just for that blank game week 29 side. So guys, hopefully you have enjoyed this different video here on the channel. Next week, as I have more time to prepare it, hopefully it will have a few more players for us to consider, especially going into game week 29. Maybe I'll have a bit of a deeper dive of players with good fixtures and possibility of scoring points after game week 29 for those of you that do not have a wild card to get out of these sides or the free hit just to play game week 29. If you have enjoyed the video, please do hit that like button, subscribe and hit that notification bell for FPL. I've been JNO, this has been FPL Today, and remember, it's all about the game.